And just like that, the boys are back. Matt, Jack, and Brian bringing you along Views from Section 400 midweek show. We got some NFL headlines to get into. Pertains to the NFC East. We'll get into that in just a little bit. Playoff basketball rolls along. Brian's Cavaliers are in big trouble. Can't wait to discuss that. The NHL Playoffs are rolling along as well. So pretty jam-packed show with all the playoff action going on. Some NFL talk, which we always love to get into. And the winners and losers of the week presented by SeatGeek. Speaking of SeatGeek, let's get a quick word from those guys.
We finally made it through winter. Spring is here, summer is coming, and the best place to get tickets to all the baseball games, all your summer concerts, or anything else is SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of Views from Section 400. First-time purchasers can use our code ViewsFrom400 at checkout for $20 off any tickets, whether you're going to a baseball game, watching the Mets, watching the Phillies, you want to see a country concert on a lawn, and wherever venue you want to go to. SeatGeek is the place to go. Super easy to get any ticket. They have a one-of-a-kind system, shows you the best deal for your buck, and the best part, you get $20 off your first purchase with code ViewsFrom400 at checkout. We love SeatGeek. Thank you to them again. And here's the rest of the show.
Thanks, SeatGeek, as always. We will jump right in to some NFL headline talk, as we like to do here up in Section 400. Definitely our most dominated sport here on the podcast, on the program. And it starts down in the Lone Star State. The Dallas Cowboys have traded, can we call this a blockbuster? Traded for George Pickens and have acquired the now ex-Steeler. Forget what the compensation was for the trade. I do remember just seeing, they acquired Pickens. I don't know what they gave up, but yeah.
Your third round pick.
That's it? Third round? I guess that's seems kind of worth it.
It doesn't make any sense. Didn't they get Jonathan Mingo for a second round pick?
And Howie Roseman grabbed Jahan Dotson for a third round pick from the Commanders. So yeah, it's definitely a great deal by Jerry Jones, as long as Pickens, shows up to the field and plays and doesn't pull an AB, which is always in the cards for George Pickens. But a third round pick for a dude of his talent is crazy. I mean, I've been on this guy ever since he was smoking Auburn at Georgia. And he's just been a dog ever since he came in the league. Everybody remembers the infamous draft day where he's staring at the TV in his shiesty or whatever those things are called.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a character.
I think it's because he's such a character that maybe we think he's a better receiver than he actually is. I mean, we were doing the AFC East preview last year, and I'm pretty sure I asked you guys the Steelers question, and it was, will George Pickens finally get to 1,000 receiving yards? Like, he's not this all-world receiver.
Yeah, but the 1,000 receiving yards is at no fault of his own. Like, let's look at who his quarterbacks have been to date. Like, Dak Prescott will be the best quarterback that's ever thrown in the football. I mean, who are we talking about? Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Mitchell Trubisky.
Here's another important question, though.
Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph. I mean, come on, Brian.
You just named two quarterbacks with rings.
Stop it.
Dak doesn't have a ring.
Stop it.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track there, Jack. It hasn't been spectacular quarterback rooms he's been paired up with. But has he ever been paired up with a superstar wide receiver like CeeDee Lamb, where it's going to be crowded for targets?
No, he has not. And that's another thing that's, I think, going to benefit him. With everybody looking towards CeeDee Lamb, this is the first time that he's not going to be having the number one corner on him. And Brian, I'll give you a little bit of credit there. He's not like some all-world wide receiver where he has every route in the tree available to him. We know him and love him as a deep play, jump ball kind of guy, but he's a good wide receiver that can make explosive plays. Think like the barn burners, like the guys who go up and grab those 80-yard touchdown catches. Like, that's what he can do.
He's Gabe Davis with Twitter fingers.
He's Gabe Davis with a dog mentality.
I would say better athlete than Gabe Davis. I understand
that
the detail aspect, but just athleticism in general, George Pickens, I think, clears Gabe Davis, even if you want to, go back 5-10 years when Gabe Davis could actually move. I'd still give it to Pickens.
Definitely.
Yeah, maybe. I think part of my hatred for George Pickens just comes from that Pickensburg Twitter account. And he finally said he was going to deactivate when he got traded, and he hasn't. So I just don't like that kid. I don't know why. Just don't like him.
I mean, there's been rumblings, I feel like, all off season about the future of George Pickens. I don't know if there's something behind the scenes. Was there a contract disagreement, or he wanted an extension? Was there something along those lines?
I mean, he's probably – I would think that he's coming towards the end of that rookie deal.
Yeah, so maybe the Steelers didn't want to pay him. I think there was a little bit more behind the scenes, and we know the Steelers very well. I don't think a lot gets out internally with them, so there could be some stuff we don't know about. Maybe they just wanted him out of there because they're, could have been toxic in the locker room. We know he's a vocal. We see him on the sideline getting animated at times, so maybe they don't want to deal with them. They already secured DK Metcalf. Even with securing DK Metcalf, their quarterback room right now is worse than it's been in years past, and that's saying something considering what we've seen in years past. So I don't know what the direction of the Steelers are, but recoup the third-round pick. You don't have to, allocate 4 years and all this money to the guy. You have DK Metcalf, something to, I guess, build around on offense, and you save some money to deploy it elsewhere.
Yeah, my thought process, if I'm the Steelers and I think I'm getting Aaron Rodgers, this move doesn't make sense. Even though Arthur Smith's the kind of guy who doesn't use 2 wide receivers properly ever. He really only needs the one. It just doesn't make sense. Like, if you want to bring in Rodgers, you want to win a Super Bowl. That's what takes your 9-8, 10-7 team from last year. And, that everyone was happy for you guys that you somehow snuck your way into the playoffs, but everyone knew that you weren't doing anything with playoff spot. I feel like that's been the recipe we talked about on the last show. That's been the recipe for the past 8 years. You're good enough to maybe make the playoffs, maybe miss it by 1 game, you're fighting. But if you want to go win something and do something you haven't done since Big Ben, Aaron Rodgers and George Pickens, I think, need to be there. And as of right now, neither of them are.
Will Howard, Rookie of the Year.
Stop it.
Just won a national championship.
You don't believe that.
Sure I do.
I'm more on Brian's side with that than I guess I would be on your side, Jack. But I think Brian's a little too far on that side. Rookie of the Year's nuts.
I believed in Daniel Jones for like 5 years. I'm gonna believe in Will Howard.
I think Will Howard could be fine. I really do, and it could blow up in his face. But just to immediately write the guy off.
I'm not trying to necessarily write him off, but if Brian said Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I think that's crazy.
Rookie of the Year. I think that is
rookie
crazy.
Class.
There's just so many other guys that I think could do it.
I mean,
so many other guys.
The Jaguars just got Travis Hunter, and that's who Jack has his eyes on.
Yeah.
So when he hears Will Howard,
yeah,
rubs him the wrong way.
There was also there were 2 skill guys taken within the first 6 picks that are let me say this. There are 2 guys eligible to win that award that were taken within the top 6 overall picks. Will Howard was taken like 180th or something?
I guess before I said that, I didn't realize the top 2 are both in the AFC. I don't know. The Steelers will win more games than Titans and Jaguars.
Than the Raiders and Jaguars, you mean? Oh, Cam Ward too. I was talking about Ash. I was talking about Ashton Genty.
Yeah, no, I can get behind that statement. I can get behind that statement, Brian.
I was even thinking Genty. That's going to be really tough, but I'm still going to stick with it. Will Howard, Rookie of the Year.
You're out of your mind. Out of your mind.
I mean, as a rookie quarterback, to come into an offense and immediately have a superstar number 1 wide receiver in DK Metcalf to throw the ball to, I think that's going to give you confidence. Metcalf's going to be able to work with him through the summer, build that confidence and really just hone in on, hey, throw me the ball, like throw it up. They're going to be working on timing, chemistry, that whole thing. And then, the worst thing you could do is get him in his own head about making mistakes. I think it's just if he's like, hey, air it out, man, get me the ball, build that confidence. And you're maybe not see it week 1, but over the course of the year, maybe they have something there.
Yeah, their offense will probably essentially be either throw up DK Metcalf or run the ball for 5 yards. Maybe Pat Freiermuth catches a few, but if he could get 600 rush yards and make DK a 1,400-yard receiver, rookie of the year.
600 rush yards is a little nuts as well.
1,400 receiving yards.
Yeah, wheels, dude.
I could see the DK, but the rushing yards is nuts.
I can see DK. A good year for DK is hitting 1,100. 1,400 is crazy.
Wait, yeah. Throw up James Washington? He's got to throw to DK.
Yeah, he has to throw to DK, but last year they had to throw to he had a Super Bowl winning quarterback who had to throw to George Pickens, and George Pickens couldn't even do it.
Well, we just went over this. Pickens isn't that good.
Immediately, I think everybody's saying the Cowboys got so much better with the acquisition of George Pickens. But did they really? What do the Steelers know that everybody else seems to not know?
I got one last question. Well, I think that boils down to he's got some off the field issues. Maybe it's a locker room issue that the Steelers don't want to deal with anymore. But Brian, one more thing. Which of these duos combines for more throwing and receiving yards? Russell Wilson and George Pickens, or DK Metcalf and Will Howard?
DK Metcalf and Will Howard.
No. Well, I mean, hey, I hope we get the chance to see it in this system this year so we actually can get some data to prove it. But there's no way.
But as soon as we release this podcast, we're going to get Aaron Rodgers assigned a 1-year contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this whole thing will be mute.
Yeah, I think we might. I would love the comparison with Will. If Wilson was on the Cowboys, I would love that comparison. But with Wilson on the Giants and then Pickens.
But that's what they had last year.
We're talking about last year.
We're talking about last year.
Oh, you're saying their stats from last year. Okay.
Right. Because they were literally they're just swapping spots. Arthur Smith's still there as the OC. Tomlin's still there as the head coach. You'd have to think they're going to do similar offensive things, even though it seems like they've invested more into like the offensive line and running back room. So I don't know.
This thought didn't come to me until now, before I made the take, but I'm going to retroactively say I made this take because Will Howard gives you exactly what Justin Fields gave you and what Russell Wilson gave you, and now he's combining them. So the whole playbook's open. So Arthur Smith is going to open the whole playbook. It's going to be fireworks in Pittsburgh.
Can't wait to see it.
Arthur Smith and fireworks have no business being in the same sentence.
Yeah, they really don't. Very boring offense. But, one more piece of NFL news before we jump on some playoff basketball. I don't know if you guys saw. Heavily trade rumor guy Dallas Goedert will remain with the Eagles, restructured the deal, was set to make $14 million this year. They restructured. He's going to make $10 million this year with incentives. Potentially he can make an extra $1 million to be a total of $11 million. So how he works a little bit of magic there. If he can stay on the field and stay healthy, he's a top 5 tight end. And I know tight ends are few and far between when you have superstars or this and that. Could he be a top 3? I think if he's healthy and they're getting him the ball, I think so. Others will disagree, and that's fine. But Dallas Goedert comes back to Philly. Grant Calcaterra is their backup, does see a lot of time, would have to step into the starting role. I'm not sure I would be comfortable with him stepping into the starting role right away. Love him as a number 2. But it's nice to see Dallas Goedert back. Hopefully he can stay healthy. He's only 30 years old. And we'll see what they got. That's another big piece of the offense returning. So, I'm glad they were able to work out a deal. And he took a pay cut, man, to come back to a winning franchise and Super Bowl champ. So it's good to see.
That's exactly what you want to see as a fan. He did test the market, see what it offered. And I am sure some team offered him more than $10 million to come play there. But I get it. Stay in with the team that you just want to ring with. I wouldn't want to leave them for any amount of money either.
Rough weekend for white football players with 5-letter first names. Grant gets benched and Justin Tucker gets cut.
Is that your takeaway from that, Brian?
Yep.
Interesting. But no, to Jack's point, I absolutely agree. I think somebody definitely could have offered him a lot more money, or maybe not a lot more, but more money to go play for them. When you win the Super Bowl, other teams want your players. Yeah. And with Dallas Goedert being available, I'm shocked that, somebody didn't throw a bag at him, especially some of these teams that have the cap space to do so. So win for the player, win for the organization. They still keep that offense very much intact. We'll see what the 2025-2026 Eagles can do. The offense will be back. Defense, I think, still has major question marks, and I wasn't thrilled with what they did in early free agency into the draft. I know they went very heavy on defense in the draft, but they lost a lot on defense. I know Vic Fangio is very good. I know they have, that most of that D-line coming back, especially just in Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. We'll see what the new guy can do, Jahad Campbell. And yeah, we'll go from there. But that's all I have on that. I don't want to go too crazy on the Eagles, but do think it's important to note they get back another key piece of the offense.
Theo Johnson clears.
Talking a lot about Dallas right now.
Yeah, it dominated the NFL segment. But Brian, anything on your Giants? No? All right, we can move on.
Well, thanks for asking. I got something for my Jags. One of the big things that I was a little worried about, coming in after day one, which, we got Travis Hunter, super happy about that. But we were needing some D-line help. It's very thin room, but we just signed, as soon as the draft was over, James Gladstone signed Emmanuel Ogbah, who has been in this league for a while. Pass rusher, I think 10 years at this point. Some time with the Lions is when I remember him the most. But yeah, I'm excited, man. That's exactly what we needed. Another good move by Gladstone.
You love the move when you give it 4 claps to enunciate the sign.
Yeah, I mean, rookie GM, we don't know it's a good move until we know if it's a good move, if that makes any sense. I mean, this is all just trial period right now. The moves look great on paper, sure. Yes or no, I don't know. We will see.
But that's what you ask for out of your GM. You're like, all you can do is make it look good on paper. He doesn't actually get to coach these guys or, play for them. He's just trying to bring the best guys in the building. We were thin on edge rushers. Even though we have 2 great guys that are leading the charge, and Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker, they can only be on the field so many snaps. They're big boys. They work hard. So getting another vet into the room, rotational guy, super happy for that move. And look, you're right. If he's too old at this point and sucks and isn't productive, that's one thing. But as far as it goes, looking forward to the season, the move makes sense. Veteran guy, I'm happy.
And Jack, just one, because we know that, the Jaguars will most definitely have more expectations or higher expectations than the Giants will. But bigger concern, I know it's not saying much, Brian, but bigger concern for you, the quarterback or the defense?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, the Jaguars.
Oh, it's defense. It's a defense, dude. 100%. It's a defense.
I would agree with that, but I also think, there's still some question marks surrounding Trevor Lawrence, and we'll see what he can figure out. I want Brian's quick 2 cents, and then we'll let you finish it up.
But we have a lot of playoff games to get to. We're not doing a whole nother Trevor Lawrence segment.
No. And I wasn't trying to go down that path and be a dick by answering the question, but I think the 2 biggest concerns are the quarterback and the defense coming up this year. So I just wanted to see which one Jack thought might be a little bit more.
Unless this shoulder injury, Trevor had surgery on his non-throwing shoulder, his left shoulder, during the offseason. So if that's an issue come the start of the season, then yes, I'm very worried. I mean, he has to be healthy for us to be good, for him to be good. But if he's healthy, I don't have concerns about that. It's what I would have more concerns about is just the fact that we have a whole new coaching regime that, players need to understand the systems. It all needs to come together. And then the other thing I'm not necessarily worried about, but that I'm more honed in on is how are we going to use Travis Hunter? I'm not blind to the fact that we did use essentially 2 first-round picks to grab him. I do think that he has every potential to be worth that and exceed that. but we'll see. I mean, I'm just super interested to see how we use him, if he's effective, if that first big move by Gladstone ends up panning out or not. And I don't think it's fair to say we're going to be able to see that within one season, but we'll be able to tell some things pretty quickly.
Yeah, there's an expectation. They made the move for him to be like maybe an elite contributor, a contributor at best right away.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Both sides of the football. I expect him to be wide receiver 2 next to Brian Thomas Jr. and cornerback 2 next to Tyson Campbell.
I was going to say, I didn't ever get to ask you that. Are you locked in on him playing both sides of the football?
Absolutely. And I actually Brian, is the article I wrote out on the website yet about Travis Hunter?
Not yet. I haven't talked about it here yet, but I'm still dealing with the internet crisis. So I'm on my phone today. I could make Xfinity my loser of the week, but I held off. But they were very damn close.
Well, just some insight there. I just wrote an article about how I expect Travis Hunter to be used. The short version is wide receiver 2, cornerback 2, and I think I put about 70-ish% of snaps on both offense and defense.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's expectation, as I've been saying, on him to one be contributor, and he did it in college. Obviously a different game at the NFL level, but they're going to test it out throughout the summer into training camp. And if they feel good about him going both ways and aren't really worried about the risk of injury, which will be increased, obviously playing both sides of the football, they'll let him go. So that's an interesting story and headline to watch as the summer rolls on. But that's all we got here, I think, for the NFL. Good start off the show. We always love to dive into it as always. But I think we could jump into now some NBA playoff basketball talk. We are, we always say, we got a long way to go to the finals, but we are trucking along, and we're starting to see some second round series shape up, and the conference finals is starting to look more and more likely for some teams. One of those teams is the Indiana Pacers, who stole 2 games on the road against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Brian tried to tell us that the Cavs were going to be this superstar whirlwind team.
Well, okay, I knew you were going to start. I wasn't aware half their team was going to die before game 2.
Oh, I was.
I mean, they lose Evan Mobley, they lose DeAndre Hunter, who's been playing great, arguably a top 25 player in the league, and they lose Darius Garland for what looks like the rest of the playoffs. There's not much they can do.
No, and I knew the excuses would be coming, so I'm not going to combat you on it, but the Cavs are pretty dead. I mean, now it's going back to Indiana. Indiana has a 2-0 lead. Sure, maybe they lose game 3, but I don't see them getting swept at home over these next couple days. So I think at a bare minimum, they're going back to Cleveland up 3-1. And, like you said, Brian, a lot of guys out. Not sure who will make or miss the next game, but if a lot of those guys are out, we could see a very quick sweep.
I said it in the last show. You don't want to be a blue and gold team up 3-1 on Cleveland. If Donovan Mitchell can put up 50 a game, they should not be losing. He put up 48 points, and they somehow lost. And I know it's a weird loss because Tyrese Haliburton gets the offensive rebound. And they were up 7 points with a minute left.
They blew a little bit of a lead.
It was so bad. I mean, they were winning the whole game. They were winning the whole game, and there was no reason they should have choked it at the end. Zero reason. I think were they playing the foul game, or was that OKC?
It was more OKC, but they were too. It's Murphy's Law because Ty Jerome got bailed out in the Final Four in the close game, and then he shoots 1 for 14 when they need him to do well, and they blow a lead. We'll get to OKC, but there's just so many teams blowing leads in these playoffs. I mean, it's entertaining, but it's like, how is this happening?
Yeah, there was something that was happening at the end of this Cavs Pacers game. Maybe it was the lack of somebody fouling, but I thought that there was some pretty poor coaching decisions. And I know I'm a sideline couch reporter here, but some pretty poor, decisions when it comes to calling timeouts, committing intentional fouls. A lot of that happening in these few games in the past few days.
Aaron
Yeah,
Neesmith
and
also had that dunk that like completely changed the momentum at the end of that.
momentum's a huge thing in the playoffs. But you touched on Donovan Mitchell with 48 points, Brian. I hit it with you in the group chat when you said they can't play him. 1 for 7 of 3, I think, is a legitimate
Got
issue.
50% from the field.
Brian, he went to the free throw line like more times than LeBron in his prime did. I mean, the refs were all over him getting foul calls. So,
Yeah, he had 15
worse
he
than
scored
Embiid. Now I
33
know why
other points
people
on
bitch at
50%
Embiid all the
shooting from
time.
field. Yeah, he missed 6 threes, but he shot 50% from the field.
Make one more and you win the game.
Yeah, well, if you're asking someone to score 50 instead of 48 as the reason you lost, I think there's other fingers to be pointed. Maybe Ty Jerome should have made
I'm asking him to score 51 and hit one more three.
No, it's literally what we saw last year. Donovan Mitchell trying to do it all, put the team on his back. He's a great basketball player. He's not LeBron. You know, he can't take a bunch of bums and J.R. Smith to the finals, you know?
Right. And well, that's the thing is Brian already, touched on how amazing this Cavs team is. Evan Mobley, top 25 player in the NBA. So
DeAndre Hunter, top 25 player in the NBA.
That's pretty nuts. But either way, Donovan Mitchell, a great player. Like both things can be true. Absolutely great player, superstar, but can't carry a team by himself. And I think that's the point I tried to make in the last podcast is, not that he's a fraud, but like he just isn't going to do it on his own. It's like Embiid. Like Embiid isn't going to do it on his own. Great player when healthy, not going to do it on his own.
Honestly, nobody does it on their own. Like, name me the last person to like truly do it on their own. And like, my first thought is maybe Giannis, but like Chris Middleton was huge in that playoff.
He was huge, and these guys who do it on their own get huge role players. But was Middleton ever a superstar?
He was an all-star.
He was, I would say, a fringe star, but like, I don't know. He was a good player, good role player to play next to Giannis.
How about Kawhi? I was gonna say, how about Kawhi? Like Pascal Siakam, like was he any better than Chris Middleton? I don't think so.
I think the 3 biggest you can probably get from the 2000s would be Kobe with Powell, Kawhi, and then Giannis.
Yeah, and the Cavaliers with Donovan Mitchell are a better team than all of those teams, or at least role players wise.
Ty Jerome shot 1 for 14. He's their second best scorer when everyone else is out like that. He's not better than.
Not better than you. Well,
they're just not hot. Like I guess maybe
I wasn't necessarily talking about Ty Jerome, but I get it. They got injuries, so there's a lot of ways you can nitpick this thing. But the one thing that stays the same is they're down 2-0.
And also Ty Jerome sucks. Let's keep that in mind.
You guys have personal vendetta. You guys have personal vendettas against the guy, and that's fine. I understand and get it. But yeah, he choked the other night, and certainly that led to. But they didn't need him. They were winning the whole game without him. So to point at him as
broken on the game-winning shot by Halliburton.
Yeah, well. Sucks to suck. We'll see what happens, but I think this one's pretty much over. Maybe we see a crazy comeback, but I think the Pacers are probably too good to allow that to happen. Halliburton's stepping up like a grown-ass man and inserting his dominance and will, so I think it'll be tough to overcome what the Pacers are going. And let's not take credit away from, I believe the guy's named Rick Carlisle. I mean, he's been a fantastic head coach ever since he took over, what was it, last year or 2 years ago? I think he's really shaped a new direction for this franchise. They've kept Halliburton. They've acquired Pascal Siakam and just filled out the role player room very well. He's a great coach. And, the Pacers are pretty well positioned, not only for this year, years to come.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the way that they're playing basketball more than any team I've enjoyed watching since the overly stacked Warriors team and like the Spurs, like Pop's Spurs with Tim Duncan and Tony. Sorry, you got me thinking about international players. I'm like all out of whack. Tony and Manu. But those teams that just swing the ball around, keep the rock moving, they play good basketball, take good shots. That's what this Pacer team is doing, and it's beautiful. And that's why they can't be beat right now.
I bet Mavericks fans would love to have a coach like Rick Carlisle.
They sure would. But let's go into a little bit of a funky one here, guys.
Petty.
Yeah, I mean, that's Brian for you. But a little bit of a funky one here. The Warriors steal game 1 in Minnesota without Steph Curry. What, he only played like 12 minutes of that game a couple nights ago. They somehow still come out victorious. We think we have confirmed Steph Curry will be out for game 2.
Correct.
Jimmy Butler is going to have to be the guy, which we know he can be.
We know he can be, but I don't know where they're going to get their scoring from.
Yeah, well, if you told me a team in this game shot 17% from 3 and committed 16 turnovers to lose by double digits, I would have said, oh, yeah, the Warriors got tired from a game 7 and they got blown out. It was the other way around, so I'm not worried about Golden State. They just dismantled Minnesota on the road with great defense. As long as Steve Kerr's there, they're not going to win the finals without Steph, but they can tread water without him in this series.
Definitely, yes, yeah. But I'm not expecting Anthony Edwards to have that poor of a performance again. Like
no,
that happens, and he's him. He's got that mentality. He flips a switch. He does something, meditates, smells a thing of smelling salts, whatever his thing is. I don't know, but a guy like that, he flips a switch and he comes back. He doesn't stay down for an entire 7-game series, 4-game series, whatever it might be.
No, I think we see, this isn't like the Pacers Cavs series. I think we see Minnesota come back and smack him in the mouth. And would it be surprised if we see a very decisive victory by the Timberwolves here in game 2? But that's to be seen. I also agree with you, Brian. I think they very well could tread water and just stay afloat and, get this to 6 or 7 games, get Steph back at the end of the series and, close the door and finish the job and propel themselves to the conference finals, which, again, wild that we would have a 7 seed in the conference finals.
Could be a blessing in disguise. You get Steph, 40-year-old Steph, some extra rest.
Yeah, and
if they're able to win games without him, it'll be huge because that he's just been playing through that, and he has needed rest. So if they can win a few more games and have him sit, that is humongous for their chances.
Draymond Green, did the Monstars, took his talent from the ball and hit, 5 threes in this game?
Draymond was an offensive weapon without Steph in this one, which is not something you see all too often. But, hey, man, that's what Hall of Fame players do, man. They step up in big-time situations.
Dude, we've been seeing Draymond hit some crazy 3-pointers that I just did not think he had in his arsenal. And, look, if he's able to do that, they won't need the king of the Slash Bros for the foreseeable future if they can keep the pace that way. But like I said, my gut's telling me that Minnesota will come out and smack him in the mouth, kind of be like, hey, we're still in this. And maybe we see it. I think we'll see a decisive victory. We'll see. But this one should be tied up going back to the Bay Area.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's roll on to now a wild game that happened the other night. The Knicks steal one in Boston, overtime victory, came back from 20 points. Jalen Brunson pretty much saying he's him, great player, superstar caliber player. Like I said, steal one in Boston. But guys, did the Knicks wake up the bear?
Yeah.
No. Let me ask. What do you mean by that?
Like Boston, not that they took them lightly, but we're up 20, cruising, coasting. Maybe didn't take them as serious. I don't know. They came back, slapped him in the face. Jalen Brunson's doing this to the crowd in Boston. They get the OT victory. That's sometimes how you wake up the bear, dude.
I don't think that the Celtics needed any waking up, honestly. They made or I should say made. They missed a NBA record, I think 45 3-pointers in this game. Like, as Brian likes to say, if they could have just made one or two of those, like made one of those, it changed the whole thing. Like, yeah, obviously it does, but 45 missed threes. Let's be honest. If one or two of those went the other way, we're not talking about an overtime game. We're talking about C's win it in regulation. And I think that's as simple as it is. We've been talking for many, many days, many, many weeks now that we love the Knicks, or at least I love this Knicks team, but we know that they're not good enough to go all the way and do the whole thing. I think we saw that for sure against the Pistons. So, yeah, the Cavaliers, the Cavaliers, the Celtics are coming back in game 2. They're going to make one or two more threes, and bye-bye Brunson.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a mix of two things. One, they're not going to miss 45. They're probably not going to miss 25. They're probably not going to miss 15 threes in a game for the rest of this series. I'm sure they're just working in the gym nonstop after missing the NBA record, like you said, 45 threes. Also, I know it's a tired take that Tom Thibodeau runs his teams into the ground, but Jalen Brunson played 44 minutes in this game. Josh Hart played 45. OG Anunoby played 46. Mikal Bridges played 51, which I thought was some kind of record until I saw Red Roca and Paul Seymour played 67 in 1953 for the Washington Senators against the Celtics. They can't – if this series goes 6 games, they're going to collapse on the floor and die.
Yeah, 51 minutes for Mikal Bridges, 8 points, 6 boards, 7 assists, single line stats all across the board in 51 minutes played.
Great defense.
Yeah,
that's what he's there for.
Defense. But Brian, the other guys you mentioned, I guess, what was it, the 60s or whatever? How many overtimes did that go to?
So it was 2 overtimes, but overtimes were 10 minutes.
Oh.
And then if you want to get like present day, Jokic played 65 in a 4 overtime playoff game against the Blazers in 2019. CJ McCollum played 60 in that game. So that was like the 2 highest in recent.
Wow. That's interesting. But yeah, either way, I think the Knicks kind of like the Celtics got a little bit slapped in the face, and the Knicks might have woke up the bear. That's how I read this one. And we can, agree to disagree if you guys don't think that.
Well, I do think that the Celtics are gonna, come back and ultimately win this series. But I will say, like, what just happened in game 1 is the recipe for success for these Knicks. Like, Brunson, go be a god, get it done. OG Anunoby, you got to be stellar. Or, he was the one who was stellar in game 1, but somebody else has to be stellar to provide some scoring with Brunson. This time it was Anunoby. It's always got to be someone. And then on the other side, no, I don't expect them to miss 45 threes ever again in this whole, playoffs. But if Jason Tatum is going 7 of 23 and they go to him over and over and over late in the game and he's missing those shots over and over and over again, yeah, the Knicks are going to win more games and win the series. But Tatum's got to figure it out, right?
What Tatum does, and this is why he's an enigma and no one's ever liked him, because he has games like this and then he'll go off and score 45 and miss like 3 shots in the next game. And it's he's the NBA. And then
he's got to have a comeback game, right?
Yeah, he's the most inconsistent superstar I've ever seen, and it's so annoying.
Yeah, I think huge bounce back spot for the Celtics. Probably out of all the teams we're seeing right now, right? Like Pacers up 2-0, Cavs bounce back. We'll see. Warriors headed back or for game 2. Are the Timberwolves going to bounce back? We'll see. But I think this game right here is the biggest bounce back spot of the remaining games. But to get over to the final series, the Oklahoma City Thunder, who I thought would be a shoo-in in the NBA Finals, fall and drop game 1 at home to the Denver Nuggets, who have the playoff experience. I know the OKC kind of does as well, but more importantly, the Nuggets have the championship experience. Pretty much same core that won that finals, right? Jamal Murray, Jokic, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. Was Braun on that team? Yeah, Braun was there as well. So pretty much the solid core still intact there. Obviously different coach, and wild, bizarre story how that unfolded with them firing Mike Malone games or just weeks left of the regular season. So interim head coach, if he wins the finals, maybe he just keeps the job. But Denver up 1-0, kind of steal home court advantage, and another bounce back spot for another team here in the Thunder. I think Boston's bounce back spot is bigger, but again, I expect OKC to bounce back. But Brian, you were the one saying the Nuggets would be super fun in the finals again.
Yeah, I believe that our good guy Christian was like the first player ever to win the March Madness championship and then the NBA finals in back-to-back years. He's a fun player. Russell Westbrook's a fun player. Jamal Murray's awesome. Nikola Jokic just had the first 40-20 game in the playoffs since Giannis in 2022. That team won it all. The time before that was Shaq in 2001. That team won it all. All I'm saying, let's go Nuggets.
Yeah, the Nuggets look primed. Like I wonder what their future odds were before the season. Not before the season, but even before the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but I was talking about how the Cavs choked away that game against the Pacers. OKC choked this game away, and it was on the coaching. Did you guys watch like the final 20 seconds where they're fouling them like every time they get the ball? Like I think it was OKC up 3, and they are fouling. They're fouling the Nuggets every time that they get the ball because you can only get 2 free throws, I guess. Like I understand the math. You can't technically tie it up, but then on the other side, they're getting fouled right away, like every team who's down does. Like they go up and foul, and there's just no time coming off the clock. Comes down to the wire. Chet goes to the line, bricks them both, and then we see Aaron Gordon hit a 3 and win the game. It's just like, what are we doing here? Just play Everybody hates fouling at the end of the game anyway. Just play the damn basketball. You don't put yourself in this situation. I think OKC and, quite honestly, the coach threw this game away.
Yeah, well, everyone that bet the over is probably feeling the exact opposite because they scored like 20 points in the last 20 seconds. But, yeah, the thinking's there, but you should be doing it when there's 10 seconds left, not 20. Because that creates a whole lot of more time for mistakes to happen. And then even if you're going to do it, why is Chet Holmgren on the line when you have SGA who lives at the free throw line? They're young. And we thought this year they'd take the leap and not be young. And it was the Rockets' turn to be the young team that frauds out early. But you have Coach Jokic on the sideline, and then you have the Thunder.
Well, the Thunder are young, inexperienced, and don't have that true, I don't know. They do have the camaraderie, but like not the playoff camaraderie. I don't know. But we also have that coach who really doesn't have any crazy playoff experience as well. So I think that is where we're seeing these, decision-making miscues, especially at the end of games where, I don't know if he's trying to reinvent the wheel or be the smartest guy in the room. I'm not sure.
He is trying to do that.
It's kind of backfired, or at least backfired game 1. We'll see if it works out in game 2.
Yeah, if it doesn't start working out, he will be the NBA's Brandon Staley.
He kind of looks like
right now. Come on, I thought you were going to say Brandon Staley. I was going to be there with you, but dude, I'm not there with you on that.
No, I mean, this guy's there's longer games or a longer regular season, but this guy's had better success than Brandon Staley, right?
Yeah, he's won a playoff series.
Yeah, this guy's won a playoff series. Yeah. Brandon Staley choked it against the Jags.
The playoff game.
Duval. I think I actually got this towel there. Maybe it's not the week before. But, yeah, dude. Brandon Staley's a bum. That's why he's not a head coach anymore. Ran out of Los Angeles.
Yeah, and for the, imagine if he was in a city where they actually had a legit fan base.
Yeah. Yeah, after wasting the first few years of Justin Herbert's career, could you imagine?
Right.
That was in Philly.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he wouldn't have made it that long either, right? Like, that just wouldn't.
Mike Johnson lasted a whole season.
Yeah, 1 season, Brian. Staley was there for what, 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah, the first couple he wasn't bad. He didn't get bad until like year 3.
3 or 4 at least. Yeah.
Like the last 2. when it was a dumpster fire.
Staley, I don't think would have made it through, maybe a year, like a year and a half, like midway through the second year, they would have been out.
That franchise also let Anthony Lynn coach for like 3 years. They have a super long leash for no reason.
Yeah, a very long leash, and probably why. Well, they got Harbaugh now, so we'll see what they can do there.
He'll be there till he dies.
Probably. So we wrap up the NBA segment there and step on over to the ice. NHL playoffs are rolling along. We saw Carolina pick up a victory against the Capitals. We know Brian's sad about that. Pacific Northwest Zone, Edmonton Oilers pick up the victory over the Vegas Golden Knights, which I thought the Golden Knights would come out strong. Connor McDavid's still McDavid, man. They're still hanging around and being a tough team. We'll see as we record this, and tonight, the Winnipeg Jets, we saw their crazy Game 7, staying alive, propelling to the second round, take on the Dallas Stars. So we'll see how that series unfolds. And the Toronto Maple Leafs, Brian's redemption pick, taking 1-0 lead on Jack's Florida Panthers, who we all know Jack doubled down on the Panthers to win it all again. Brian picked the Lightning, didn't work out. Doubles down on his Maple Leafs for whatever reason. He's a Maple Leaf fan. They take a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, well, like the meme says, just when I was out, they pull me back in. Partly because Tampa Bay just got the roofs blown off of them. But no, let's go Toronto. And especially with the Caps, they looked terrible against the Hurricanes in the first game of that series. So I'm not really confident they're going to get past Carolina. So now it's time for Toronto to finally end this nonsense, end all of Jack's futures, and end your dreams. Let's go Maple Leafs.
Man, they just don't want to see me win. They always out here hating. Man, whatever. Well, hey, look, still the strongest survivor 2 years in a row when it comes to this National Hockey League. I'm going to wear my hat proud on that. But tough first game in the series. Very emotional game. I'm sure you guys saw it, but I'm calling him Stoley the goalie. He got hit back of the head, forearm, Sam Bennett. These guys, he said it was unintentional. They're friends. They played together. Yeah, it wasn't some bad blood thing is what he's saying. But I don't know, man. These Panthers have been hitting everybody and everything that comes within their path since the start of the playoffs. And Stoley the goalie's out for Game 2. So I'm looking forward to Game 2. I think we're going to even it back up.
I think the Canadian teams still have a little bit of a bad taste in their mouth about Tkachuk too. Definitely.
From you talking about from the four, Four Nations. I was going to Four Champions. Yeah, Four Nations Classic. Yeah, man. There was a lot of bodies flying during that, and trust me, it's carried right over ever since Tkachuk's been gotten back on the ice for the Panthers.
I do think it might be coming home to Canada. Don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily want to see them win the cup, but
Pacific Northwest.
We could see an Edmonton and Toronto all Canadian final.
Then it would definitely be going home. And
well, for sure, that's very much a possibility.
I would definitely be rooting for Edmonton in that case because if anything, let's screw Brian's Pacific take.
It's West Coast. We've been over this.
Pacific is West Coast.
No, it's not.
What?
If you're in the Pacific Northwest, you're on the West Coast. But if you're on the West Coast, you're not necessarily in the Pacific Northwest.
My brother in Christ. What is the West Coast border?
Yeah, but you could be in San Diego. You can be in San Diego, and that's not the Pacific Northwest, but you're on the West Coast.
No, but it's Pacific though.
We've been over this.
We don't need
to add Oregon and the college teams, and it's just the West Coast.
We'll see all about that as this rolls on here. But look, if the Jets and the Jets can very well be Pacific Northwest as well. They're closer to Minnesota, so I won't see if it was them, then I wouldn't give you a hard time. But Edmonton, they're really up there. But
Where is Winnipeg?
Winnipeg's like, I want to say
Canada.
above Minneapolis of Minnesota.
Is that
So it's
Alberta?
Manitoba. So it's
Manitoba.
more east than Alberta.
Okay.
Like it goes
Yeah,
Alberta.
that's not West Coast.
Yeah, no. It's not. That's why I didn't say it. It's like above Minnesota.
Yeah, that's central.
But if Winnipeg and Edmonton win, I mean, we guarantee a Western Conference team in the finals.
That's scary.
Yeah, so something to look out for there. And then, if Toronto beats Florida, we got 3 Canadian teams in each conference final. So some stuff to look out for there. Yeah, I don't have much on hockey because the series are still young here in the second round. We don't really have a good shape of who might. I think when a team wins 2 games before another team wins a game, that's when we might see a better shape. But yeah, interesting to see. The only other takeaway I have is I was kind of surprised to see Edmonton win over the Golden Knights. I tried to touch on that, but that was interesting to see. But you can't count out McDavid ever.
Never.
Yeah,
As much as Brian hates him.
I do hate him. But Matt, you actually just made a great point, and now I might be completely back in on the Washington Capitals bandwagon. Can you imagine 3 Canada teams versus the team from our nation's capital with an eagle as their logo called the Capitals?
It would be pretty electric. That would be awesome.
That would be poetic, and I would be a Capitals fan.
I would for sure be a Capitals fan, and I don't even know if that's bad blood or not bad blood. Oh, I mean, I'm a Flyers fan.
Look, we're allowed to be Patriots for a week, man.
The Capitals are like, the Capitals, Penguins, and Rangers are like, and Bruins are like the Flyers' main rivals. So,
no, dude, you're just supporting your country.
USA.
Would that be me being sacrilegious, or is that not the right word for that?
That's the right word, I think. I think you're using it right there, but no, I think that's totally fair. I mean, look,
like that's like me like being a Commanders fan because they're from the nation's capital and the NFL has a Canadian team in the Super Bowl, and it's a Canadian team in the Super Bowl versus the Commanders, and I'm jumping on the Commanders bandwagon because America.
I think if Johan Rojas, wherever he's from, is on like Team Dominican Republic in the World Baseball Classic, you're not going to root for him just because he's a Philly. You're going to root for Team USA.
No, but this isn't an international series thing.
I think the better comparison is Toronto Blue Jays if they were playing like the Mets in the World Series.
I would root for the Blue Jays.
Right. I think the Mets might be a little too tough. I don't think the Caps and the Flyers have that kind of beef. Maybe they do.
I mean, it's.
But I'm just saying, like you would root. I would normally root for the team that's in America over the team that's in Canada.
Yeah, this isn't a great one, but I think it's the closest we're gonna get. Say the Yankees in like 10 years still haven't won a World Series, and you just hate them a lot, and they're playing like the Braves in the World Series. I think you'd be rooting for the Braves.
It all depends on how many the Phillies win in the next 10 years.
How does that doesn't
like if they won like 3 World Series, I'd be like, all right, yeah.
It's more like the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. We're gonna go down a crazy rabbit hole here, but either way, sure. I guess, but I guess we would root for the Capitals.
It probably won't even matter because the Hurricanes will sweep them.
Yeah. Then I could be all in on the Hurricanes against 3 Canadian teams.
And the Panthers are coming back in this series and are going to the Cup. So I don't know what we're stressing about.
Yeah, maybe this is all just Fugazi talk. But no, that's some good stuff there, fellas. I think it's time now to hop into the most anticipated segment here weekly up in section 400, the winners and losers of the week. Presented by SeatGeek. The guys are going to go around and say who won the week and say who lost the week. Brian, would you care to lead us off?
I am pulling a jack. I have 2 losers this week.
Ooh. Pretty unexpected out of you, so
Yeah, it's not been an
must be two that you couldn't leave off.
Well, not even that. I've just been in a bad mood this week because my internet hasn't worked. But my first loser is Nico Harrison. I already kind of made fun of him for letting Carlisle, L's are hard, walk. But we also have one difference in the teams left in the playoffs at this point in the season this year from last year. That one difference is the Mavericks are out and the Warriors are in. I wonder why.
Why?
Well, he traded his superstar franchise player for a pack of cigarettes and a bus ticket.
Yeah, but what do the Warriors have to do with this?
You mean to say Lakers?
No, Warriors. So last year there were 8 teams left in the playoffs. They were the 7 team or the 8 teams that are in the playoffs this year, but instead of the Warriors, it was the Mavericks.
Oh.
So essentially, all the teams that were good last year carried over the success into this year, except
Right.
one. That being the team that traded away its franchise superstar for no reason.
Yeah, you're saying like could have been the Mavs. I see what you're saying there. Yeah. Brian starts the winners of the week off with a loser. I should have kicked it off to Jack. But Jack, you got a winner for us?
Yeah, it's going to be people who enjoy golf, but also just internet content and comedy. Barstool Sports and Bob Does Sports, who's a famous golf content creator. They're combining to do the Internet Invitational. It's a $1 million grand prize golf tournament, and I'm pumped for that, dude. Like, honestly, I think Bob Does Sports absolutely freaking hilarious. And when it comes to actual sports stuff, I think Barstool Sports does a good job of content as well. So, those two guys leading the show for a whole bunch of influencers and internet people who I'm sure some of them are going to be good at golf, but there's probably going to be people with some terrible swings. It's going to be people diving into the lakes on whatever course that they're playing on. I think it's going to be very entertaining, and I'm actually really excited for it.
Will Mo Khan be invited?
I'm pleading the fifth. I would have to think not.
I'll go out on a limb and say no. But no, that's gonna be really sick, man. I saw Portnoy post that as well, and if you're a true golf etiquette fan, I don't think you'll love this tournament because Portnoy said they're going to be loud, noisy when you're done.
Yeah, he said it's not your mom's golf tournament.
Yeah, when you go to take a shot on the 18 to potentially set yourself up to win the tournament, it's going to be loud, noisy, and they're going to be rooting for you to choke. So, Barstool's take on trying to turn golf into what the Savannah Bananas turned baseball into is kind of what I got here.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good call. They're definitely just trying to add the fun factor back into the sports, make it a little bit more entertaining, a little less, classy and stuck up, and, a little more, let's get after it, drink some beers on the course, have some fun. I mean, that's what we care about, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely tune in. And like you said, some of those content creator guys, especially Bob Does Sports, are hilarious. And, some of those YouTube golfers are pretty good. I know Grant Horvath is one of the better ones, and he has a good golf game. So be interesting to see who actually does play, who they pull in from, I don't know, the public and celebrity influence or whatever you want to call it. But we'll have to wait and see how they do that. It's going to be, I think, funded by Barstool and then a bunch of other sponsors that they get in. So, it'll be interesting to see. Definitely hyped up for that. But my winner of the weekend, I think the news broke over the weekend or maybe late last week, but I don't know. We had a lot of we touched a lot on this when we had my guy Chris in over the summer. He said, I don't know how this guy isn't in the league, but Hunter Renfrow back in the NFL, signs with the Carolina Panthers, ditches corporate life. Fun fact, I'm actually connected with him on LinkedIn. We see Hunter Renfrow get back in the NFL, like I just said. We thought maybe he just wanted to find a job and start his own company and be that, but he did have a serious stomach issue and ulcerative colitis, which, obviously tears up the stomach pretty good there. So, yeah, happy to see the guy back. Really good route runner is what a lot of people have said. Maybe one of the best in the league. So, Yeah, I think that's a huge win for Hunter Renfrow to get himself back into the National Football League.
Sky Rizzi, the new sponsor of the Carolina Panthers. They're building a great team of white receivers.
Yeah, I guess.
Still there?
Yeah, Thielen's still there. He'll be there, and he'll be effective for the first 6 to 8 weeks, and then that's how long it's going to take Renfrow to come on, and it just makes sense. Perfect harmony.
I'm going to stay. Yeah, I won't say that. I was going to maybe say something, but I won't
No,
say
but I'm happy for Hunter Renfrow, man. I mean, I always thought he was a good receiver at doing exactly what he needs to do, which is shake and bake, short depth, average targets, short depth targets, just shake and bake, get open, move the chains, first down. I think he can do it. Why not?
Yeah, hype to and we'll see if he breaks camp with the team, but should see some way better paychecks than what he was doing now. I don't know. I think it was his business, or he was the CEO and very involved, so maybe his paychecks didn't suck with what he was doing. So yeah, happy to see him back. Big W for Renfrow, and yeah, super cool to be connected with the guy on LinkedIn. But we will jump through now. Brian will hit us with another loser of the week as he's doubled up on the bad guys.
Yeah, well, I'm happy. I didn't plan this transition, but you kind of set it up for me talking about Hunter Renfrow's stomach issues. My loser is Cinco de Mayo, because I ate a lot of beans on Monday, and I came the closest I have to shitting myself yesterday that I have in like 15 years.
So what's the loser? You?
The beans and me, the double loser.
Because you almost shit yourself?
Yeah, I was walking home from dinner. Not the dinner we had on Cinco de Mayo, just a random dinner. And like 5 minutes away from home, I felt it coming, and I've never been that rattled in my life.
I mean, take a step by step here, since you cared to disclose this information. Like,
Yeah,
was
brother,
there a mess when you got back? Did your wife know?
I got it all.
Did your wife know what was going down? Did you have to do this
Rose
in
was
secret?
well aware of what was happening. It was a full-fledged waddle. It was like a waddle speed walk for like 5 minutes, and I made it to the toilet. Everything got into the toilet successfully, but it was very, very close when I had to walk up the stairs to my apartment.
Well, I'm glad for yourself, your wife, and everybody that lives in that apartment complex that you were able to make it to the bathroom. And
well, maybe don't say everyone that lives in the apartment complex, because it didn't smell too great.
Either way, I think for the majority of that, a major crisis and a huge near miss for all parties involved.
Yeah, I'm glad I got it done.
I'm glad you got it done too, Brian, for what it's worth, man. I'm glad you're figuring out how to use the bathroom at the age of 28, 27, however old you are. You're married and you're not potty trained yet. That's something.
Are you telling me you've never almost shit yourself as an adult?
Nah, man, I'm playing with you, but it's just, come on. drive faster. Like, get home, dude.
I was
like,
walking.
Have some leaves. Who was it? I think it was Rich Eisen was like, yeah, sometimes you got to have some leaves in the gutter.
I mean, driving is fine because you could like sit up and clench on the seat, and you're not walking.
All right.
Yeah, wild double loser out of Brian there, but Jack, you're a loser of the week.
No, you know what? If Brian's going double loser, I'm gonna go double winner. And
wow,
just to spite him, just to keep us 3 winners, 3 losers. I know Brian likes that. So, how about the Rams? The Rams are having their off-season practices, or not all of them, but they're gonna have a training camp out in Maui, Hawaii, sponsored by. Or not totally sponsored, but they have a partnership, the Rams do, with the Hawaii Travel Authority. And because of that, they're sponsoring a training camp out there in Hawaii. I think the goal is to get some Rams fans and just, LA, local California football fans, Hawaii fans out there to the stadium, whatever they have facility wise, and watch the Rams run some OTAs, off-season workouts. And pretty sick for the players, getting to go out there, practice out there. I know it's something Auburn's done a lot is go out to the Maui Invitational or go out to, the Battle of the Bahamas down in Atlantis. And when I get to see those kids go out to, a crazy vacation like that, what basketball the game can give them. And I know these guys are working, these pros, they have money to go to Hawaii in the offseason when they want, but this is awesome, man. Like, good for them. Good for the Rams.
Yeah, the only champion people will remember from the 2024 college basketball season are the Maui Invitational champions. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
I think this is soft.
Soft.
Yeah, it's training camp. You got to be getting ready for the season.
Well, whether it's going to be in LA or Maui, it doesn't get softer than either of those.
So before we dive deeper into that, my question was going to be, it is for training camp, right? We have that confirmed, training camp?
Yeah, I have to double check, but it's like a 6-day training camp. It's not like the entirety of the
I was going to say
camp.
No, I was going to say they're probably doing it for like a week.
Yeah,
in Maui, probably very early beginning of training. Like, they might even start it early and do it like the last week of July or whatever. And then they'll get back to LA and get back into their regular routine. I mean, because I was thinking the same thing. This is,
I just pulled it up for you guys. They're having a mini camp. That's the official term. A mini camp in Maui from June 16th to 19th. So it's only a 3-4 day.
Yeah. So it's a vacation, still very off-season based. Is the whole team even going to go? I'm not sure. But is the whole team even going to participate? Maybe they all go, but not everybody participates. I'd be surprised. I mean, I don't even think they're allowed to per league policy and work labor laws or whatever. I'd be surprised to even see them go full pads. I mean, this could just be T-shirt, shorts, and a helmet.
Right. Yeah. So, it is a vacation, but these guys, they're professionals. They're still practicing all off season.
Yeah. They very well. But either way, I mean, that's pretty cool. And, obviously being a collegiate athlete, as you briefly mentioned, and then a professional athlete opens you up to some pretty cool experiences. So that'll be
yeah. And then just the last thing, we're not doing the Pro Bowl in Hawaii anymore, right?
No. That's my biggest gripes.
I think in Orlando.
Yep. Yeah, so this is just one way we can get football back to Hawaiians. Let's not discredit the 30 Islanders over there. We like them, and they like football too, man. So we gotta bring them something. If we took away their Pro Bowl, we got to give them something.
Yeah. Kelly Stafford's gonna have like 5 podcast episodes from an Airbnb in Maui.
Sounds good. Hope she does. But can we even call the Pro Bowl anymore? Like, can we just call it the NFL Circus Weekend? I mean, it's not a Pro Bowl. I don't like Pro Bowl games is even stupid. I don't think it should be associated with it anymore.
If they called it like the All-Star game or something like that, then yes, I would consider calling it the circus instead. But the Pro Bowl already sounds fruity to me. Nobody else calls it the baseball, basketball, hockey. It's the All-Star weekend. So
Four Nations. They're all changing.
It's the NFL.
They didn't call it the hockey All-Star weekend or whatever.
No,
it was Four Nations Cup.
Just the Four Nations Cup.
Four Nations, and it wasn't a weekend. It was for like 2 weeks.
We still have NBA All-Star Week. We still have.
Dover might be doing a Four Nations of his own soon. There's been rumblings.
I hope he does. I really
hope
he does.
We're losing recipes.
But I will. That was some positive vibes all in the show. I guess on some bad vibes. But loser of the week happened just a couple nights ago. The Browns linebacker Devin Bush arrested for assault over, I think, the weekend or maybe Monday night. The former first-round pick, number 10 overall in 2019, and the former Michigan Wolverine was arrested and charged with simple assault and harassment in Pennsylvania on Sunday. I think he held his girlfriend down, took her car keys, and I think the worst part of it, he put all his body weight on her to restrain her, and maybe she had some marks and bruises. But, be interesting to see if he stays in the NFL. I don't know how good he was as an NFL player. or if he was really if he was he good for the Browns? I know the Browns have had some decent defenses over the years, so
Yeah, he was good with the Steelers.
Yeah,
I think that's where he got drafted, and he was to Brian's point, he was great in Madden, very speedy, rangy linebacker. But I don't know what he's been up to the past few years, if we're being totally honest, and that's not cool. I mean, bro, they don't even let these guys put their full body weight on 250-pound quarterbacks in full pads, let alone women. So. You got to be better. Always got to be better.
Definitely got to be better. Tough look for them, and really just a wild offseason for the Browns up to this point, right? The Myles Garrett saga, Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, Devin Bush getting arrested, just the messy breakup, still paying Deshaun Watson. That's been ongoing forever. Trading for Kenny Pickett. I think Joe Flacco's back. Really, really weird offseason for the Cleveland Browns. And it continues.
It's definitely on brand. And I saw a report the other day, and I do realize it is May 7th. We have months until football. But I did see a report the other day that the Browns expect Joe Flacco to start this season.
He's back?
Yeah, he would be the guy. I mean, Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, pretty nuts. Did Shedeur wear number 12 at Colorado?
He wore number 2
2.
or 1.
I think Hunter was 12.
Him and Travis Hunter were 1 and 2, I think.
No, Hunter was 12.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah. So, well, the reason I bring that up is because Shedeur is going to be wearing number 12 for the Browns.
Okay. I think Travis Hunter may have actually had multiple numbers.
I don't know.
Or maybe I'm tripping.
I think he was just 12.
But I don't know. Pretty wild that he's taking Tom Brady's number. I know Brady didn't play for the Browns, but
Hey, look, I saw Brady in an interview the other day, talking. He got asked about Shedeur Sanders, and he was talking about, I'm the perfect guy to ask this question to. I was overlooked, went 199. I think Shedeur was like 150 something or 160 something. So Brady went even further than him, completely overlooked. But we all know the story of Tom Brady. You get somewhere, you put your head down, you go to work. Never know when your opportunity is going to come, and when it does, just take it and run with it. So Shedeur's going to have that opportunity one day, and it's just up to him to take it and run with it.
Right, yeah, and I saw Brady texted Shedeur and, said use the draft slide as motivation, which, hopefully he does. Difference, Tom Brady went super late. Wasn't really any spotlight or expectation on the guy. It was easy for him to put his head down, fly under the radar, grind, make the most of his opportunity. Going to be a lot more cameras in Shedeur's face, a lot more media asking him questions. His father, obviously a big part of the media and just being involved as well. So, yes, Brady and Shedeur both slid in the draft, but he can still grind and put his head down, I guess, but I think it's going to be a lot harder for him to stay out of the spotlight and, really have that put your head down, stay in the shadows. And to be honest with you, he's not really a stay in the shadows guy. He likes being loud and flashy. So, his own personality might get in the way of doing that.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sorry, Brad, what were you saying? I was just saying that's one of the reasons why I think he slid so much. Even teams who have a starting quarterback who aren't, completely set in that quarterback long term. I think a good example is someone like the Broncos and Bo Nix, or Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. For two different reasons, but those franchises are not 1,000% sold on those quarterbacks. They're very hopeful, and they like them a lot. And for that reason, if you bring in a Shedeur Sanders with, like Matt, you're saying, all that attention on him 24/7, you're not going to be able to get through one bad game without them calling for the backup. Which is, right. If I'm Bo Nix and Sean Payton, or if I'm Dak, I can't have that behind me. I got to be focused on what's in front of me, not who's behind me. And having that guy in the locker room, maybe he says something to the media, maybe his dad Prime says something to the media, and then all, that city's media in this situation, Cleveland, they're all calling for Joe Flacco's head after one bad start,
Yeah.
I think
100%.
that was my main reason why he slid. But again, I'm not in the meetings.
Same amount of syllables in Joe Flacco as there was in Drew Bledsoe.
Nice.
They were both quarterbacks and white.
Well,
And
Tom Brady would have gotten a shot if Drew Bledsoe didn't get hurt.
No, I know. I'm just saying more very simple facts. So thank you. 3 syllables, 5 syllables. I don't know. Whatever, Brian.
3 white, old quarterbacks.
For sure. I think that's all the time we have for this one, guys. Views from Section 400. Matt, Jack, and Brian, as always, we hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you tune in over the weekend, and we will jump in for the next one. That's all I got, man. See you guys in the next one. Go Birds.
Brian smells.
You smell.